Welcome to the WOD Pod. Join me as I sit down with CrossFitters, fitness experts, top coaches, professional athletes, and other well-known gym goers to listen to their journey through fitness. In episode 12, I spoke with Georgina Harris about her 18-year gymnastics career, taking her from county level at age 7 through to the top NCAA level in America at age 22. She opens up about her tough selection process, the reality of top-level training on young gymnasts, and her future career plans after leaving the sport of gymnastics. Okay, first of all, the podcast is sponsored by Built for Athletes and No Rep UK Clothing. I'm wearing the brand new No Rep Lifting Co. t-shirt, so big up those guys. Hello, Georgina. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for giving up your Saturday afternoon.
Great to be here.
For those watching on YouTube, we're currently in the garage gym. This garage gym, whoever buys this house next will have had an Olympic bobsleigh athlete, a pro rugby player, and now an NCAA gymnast grace the presence of this garage. So lucky buyers. That's going to be part of the sale when we sell the house. Let's go back to the very beginning. Life before gymnastics. What can you remember? I'm guessing you started gymnastics at a young age.
Yeah, so I guess life before gymnastics, I can't really remember much of it. I think, because I started when I was 4 years old, so I guess you don't remember much before that, and it always kind of seems to have been part of my life, a big part of my life. So, I don't don't recall much without gymnastics.
How did you discover gymnastics or get into it?
Yeah, so, initially it was my sister. So I've got an older sister who, likes to throw herself around, a bit crazy. So mum was kind of, how do I put this in a controlled environment? So I just didn't think anything of it. Started my sister at recreational. She then, ended up progressing up and going competition route. So at that point, I was still quite young. So my mum was like, not yet, we're not going to put Georgina in yet. But I just remember kind of sitting on the balcony watching my sister train, and I'd just copy everything she'd doing and just kind of do it like that. You could see coaches looking at me, up at me and being like, when's she starting? But my mum was like, no, not until she's 4, not until she started school.
How soon into doing gymnastics did your coach see any potential to take you from just recreational level to a higher level at that age?
Yeah, I think pretty much straight away, and I know it's crazy to kind of think, but with gymnastics you can pick out talent straight away from such a young age. So I think when I was 4 when I started, by the time I was 5, 6, I was already in that competition group with a lot older gymnasts, a lot older girls, but I think they just saw that talent and I thought that was the best thing for me.
Obviously at 6 you kind of at primary school. Are you there yet? I don't know. Not even there. How did that affect school life throughout your, early first stage at school? What was it like? Yeah,
so I think throughout early stages, I think it was pretty normal. Training was just kind of after school, a couple of hours, still pretty basic until probably about 7 years old. And then, it was every evening, most evenings. You're taking it a little bit more seriously at that point. And then I think as, we progressed, I was probably 8, 9 years old, still in primary school and starting to actually come out of school to get that extra training in. So earlier stages, not too much. It just kind of felt normal after school hobby, but until probably about 7 when you did your first competition, and you realise you've maybe got a bit of a talent. They then ramp up the training and
So who was more concerned about taking you out of school, your mum or your dad?
I think neither of them were really that concerned. I think it was just something your coaches would say that you need, and it's like, okay, well, you see your girl, your little child with a talent. If that's what's going to take them to that next level, then you kind of do it. My parents were never, obviously education is huge and stuff, but academically wise, they're not that pushy. They're not that strict on that side of it. I think if you do amazing in school, amazing, but it's never something that came kind of naturally to myself. So I think, why not take up a sport when you've got that much talent?
What was the first gymnastics club you went to?
Yeah, so I started at Diamonds Gymnastics Club, so just kind of a local club. But I do always kind of give them like my career credit to them, because they built my foundations, and it was a good environment to start at that young age.
Yeah, a lot of the Diamonds Gymnastics Club follow the podcast, so we're going to have to give them a quick shout out.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they don't.
They might after this.
Maybe. After Diamonds then, where did you go to? What was the next step in your career at that early age?
Yes, I think from Diamonds, I probably got to a stage at Diamonds, a local club, where you're starting to compete kind of nationally for Yorkshire, and kind of got to the stage where there wasn't really anyone else in Yorkshire in that club that was competing at that level. So it was kind of hard to see where to go, and they even like said it themselves, like the next step. So when I was probably 12, 13, I made the move to go to Liverpool.
And describe a week of training at Liverpool as a 13-year-old.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, probably where it got a little bit more intense, a little bit more serious, missing a lot more school. So I look back now and I'm like, how on earth did I ever train that much? On top of school, it was crazy. So we used to train 30 hours a week. So I wake up, go to school, do the first 2 classes. Maybe some days it was at the first break. I'd then go to practice, have a lunch practice, dinner break, evening practice. Or some days it kind of I'd leave at lunchtime, just after lunchtime, to get there for a longer evening practice. But yeah, so I did miss a lot of school in them years.
So you said you went to Liverpool Gymnastics Club. Was that the best in the country? Why Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, definitely at that time. So it was the lead up to the 2012 Olympics. So at that time, they definitely had a reputation of producing gymnasts. 4 out of the 5, I think, gymnasts on the Olympic team were from Liverpool. They had some of the big names that were training there. They were British champions. So I guess they would attract girls from all over the country to commute to train at Liverpool. Everyone in my group, we definitely travelled, over an hour just to get to training every day. So they had that known for producing gymnasts at that level, yeah.
What was training like?
Brutal.
Describe why it was so brutal, or give me an example, because I've got no idea what you mean by that. Yeah,
so I think any sport at that level is going to be brutal. It's hard. You got to push yourself to your limits to be the top of your sport. But I think because we are so young, I was 13 years old at that point, where you're pushing your body and your mind to the max. But they don't kind of take into account the gymnasts themselves, I don't think. I never look back at my career and think negatively on it, but at that point it was kind of probably a hard time in my career. I think physically and mentally, I think we used to make you push through injuries, train, we would be weighed every week. I think, and at 13 years old, it's kind of not necessary. But there's definitely a better environment that still produces just as successful gymnasts.
Was there a big turning point in your career? And if so, what was it? What happened?
Yeah, I think probably there was maybe 2 main turning points in my career. I think after Liverpool, so the age of 14, I kind of left Liverpool, decided to, well, at that point I did actually want to end my career. I was kind of finished with gymnastics, but I guess then it was my parents that were like, they knew deep down that I still had a lot more in me, and they didn't want it to be my decision because of external factors and a bad experience, a bad environment of training that would made me kind of give up. So we actually ended up moving. So I moved to Manchester Gymnastics Club, City of Manchester, and they were kind of, give it 6 weeks. We think you'll love it here. We really want you to be part of our team. In 6 weeks, if you still don't like it, fair enough.
Yeah.
You've given it another shot. And I guess at that point, I completely fell back in love with gymnastics. I loved the sport again. But I guess then another turning point while I was at Manchester was tearing my ACL. I think that completely changed my mindset on everything. Yeah, gymnastics.
How did you feel like weeks after tearing your ACL? Like, was it really rough? Were you struggling not being able to compete?
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible because at that age as well, so I was 15, 16 years old when I did tear my ACL, and I was kind of at the peak of my sport, peak of my performance, being a successful on the England team, ranking top 3, getting selected for all the internationals. So really kind of, it was a big knockback because I was still pushing to be top in Britain, ranking top 10 in Britain, hoping to be on the GB team. So then making all this progression and actually like performing the best I've ever performed, to then all of a sudden kind of what's now? This is it. Like, it's kind of a career-ending injury, but I wasn't going to let it stop my career. Yeah.
Talk to me about the move to US.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
I feel like there aren't many other sports where you can cross over to move to a different country at that age.
No.
So what age were you when you moved to America, and why did you decide to do it?
Yeah, so obviously, I was 18 when I moved, but it all kind of came about because of this big injury. So tearing my ACL, it was no longer GB team, it was no longer trying for the Olympics. All you've got to aim for over here, and that's every young gymnast in the UK, that's all they strive to do. Be in the Worlds, be at the Olympics, on that GB team. So all of a sudden that's taken away from you, and it's like, actually, what else is there out there? What else can I do with my career? I'm not finishing just by tearing my ACL. I want something more, something to end my career on. If
you didn't tear your ACL, do you reckon you've made it to Team GB?
I mean, that's always hard to say. It's always hard to say, but at the point I was ranking in like top 10, I know I was kind of being watched by some of the GB coaches and things, but I don't know. I wouldn't have made it to the Olympic team. I wouldn't have made it to the Worlds or anything like that, but I would have been training there and thereabouts.
Yeah. How many gymnasts are in the Team GB squad? Yeah.
So at the time when I came 9th in Great Britain at the British, that year they actually changed it because all the previous years they'd done top 10 automatically, get put into the GB team. That year they changed it to the top 6.
It's like the new.
Yeah. Literally, as soon as I get there, it's like, actually, no, we're changing this. So it's top 6, but there's not many. It's always the same, 6 girls that are kind of getting selected.
Right.
So you've got to be even less now, like 4, I think, go to the Olympics. So it's really like the top of the top. So those gymnasts that are still training at that level, as hard as them top 4 girls, what can they have to achieve? There's nothing really there, but they're just as good. So it's that hard, it's that fine line of, but to answer your question, I don't think I'd have really ever made it quite to the top 6, but I was, it's up there.
And how did you discover NCAAs or hear about it?
So it was kind of just, it was actually my parents. So my dad was speaking to a fellow England gymnast, so on the England team with me, and her parents were just chatting to my parents, and they're like, oh, we've been looking into NCAA gymnastics for Paulina, shout out Paulina, Polly, and we think it would be an amazing opportunity for her. So my parents were like, wait, that sounds amazing, why don't we have a look into this? So it was actually my dad who was a big supporter of this, really wanted me to go. My mum was a little bit more reserved, like, oh no, I don't think moving to America, the other side of the world's the best thing. She wanted me to still be at home, as you can imagine. Yeah. But my dad was like, wow, amazing opportunity, let's do it. So he actually did a lot of kind of the videos. So you just have to kind of put videos on YouTube out there, email some clubs, and they'll get back in contact with you if they're interested. So it was kind of just that one discussion that completely.
What's the process for applying then? So you mentioned you go to train at a university. Is it university?
Yeah.
Okay.
So over there, you go to university. Yeah.
And how do you choose which one you go for? Without knowing. It must be
because you obviously don't know any. So I guess being a GB gymnast, it's a little bit harder. You just have to just the email as many clubs as possible, kind of reach out, send over videos. They then obviously narrow it down in their recruitment process, who they're kind of interested in. And then when you hear back, you have phone calls with them and all that stuff. And you kind of get to know just by research and looking into the teams, what they've done in the past and stuff, like ones that'll sit right with you and like have that right feel about it. So there was kind of 2 that it narrowed it down to, but a lot of them did want me to actually defer a year. So push on another year, come back fully from my knee injury and stuff. But I was like, another 5 years of gymnastics, like that's a lot. Yeah. I'm already pushing my body to kind of as much as it can do. So I was like, I need to go like this next year and just do 4 more years.
Which were the 2 that you narrowed it down to?
Yeah, so it was one in Chicago and then Lindenwood where I ended up in Missouri. So yeah, random state, but amazing.
How strict was the training in America compared to Liverpool?
Yeah, completely different. I honestly think it's just a different sport in general. So going from elite to NCAA gymnastics, we were training...
What does NCAA stand for, by the way? Do you not know?
No, I actually do. I should know this. National College Athletic Association.
Right, okay, cool.
I could be really wrong. Maybe cut that out if it's wrong.
I think you're right. Okay, sorry, I interrupted.
I should just never really thought about that. You just call it NCAA, don't you? Yeah. I don't know. But that sounds right. Anyway.
I watched the documentary Athlete A. It's probably got nothing to do with it, but it's probably stirred a lot of, I guess, the stigma behind American gymnastics.
Right.
USA gymnastics, I think it was 2016 to 2020 was like where the documentary was recorded, those timeframes.
Yeah.
Was that the same time you were there in America?
So I went in 2016, graduated in 2020. So kind of throughout that whole time, but the crossover between, I guess, college gymnastics, so NCAA, and elite, they are 2 completely different things. So when you go to university, college, you're capped at training 20 hours a week. So it's fair across every single university. They're training the same amount. It's just, I don't know, it's just a completely different atmosphere, environment. You're training with a group now of 20 girls, maybe a little bit less, but my team, we had 20 of us. And, you know, you're all in it together. You're all wanting the exact same thing. You're training as hard as each other, school, and it's just completely different. You're up there by yourself, still individual, but you're doing it for just a bigger thing now, not just yourself. You're doing it for the whole team, and just the atmosphere, the cheering, the excitement that comes with it. It's just a celebration of your gymnastics at that point.
Yeah.
You're just enjoying that final 4 years.
So in the UK, when you go to university for 4 years, you basically just go out every single night of the week, party. Not that I did, but I didn't go to university, that's why. But it must have been hard to go and have a university experience and be so strict with gymnastics.
Yeah,
Were the coaches really strict, or did they give you some lenience on being at a university? Could you get away with going out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess at this stage, it is a different... Again, you're in a different mindset because you are 18 years old. You kind of have a voice now, and the coaches respect you, respect your decisions. You know your body as well, I guess, and you know how much you can push yourself. But I think kind of going on we did have rules on the gymnastics team. Going out was a bit, you shouldn't really be doing it, but I guess in the back of their head, they don't want to know that you're doing it, but they know you're at university, you're at that age, you're also living a university student life. They just don't want us posting about it, being vocal, because we have little girls looking up to us. They don't want to see us holding drinks or anything like that, but they know what goes on. But we are there for a reason, and we are there to be successful with gymnastics. We've got a scholarship for a reason. Like, I guess.
Okay, have you got any good stories about going out?
Probably some that I shouldn't share, but yeah, there's definitely a couple that I can, I don't know, look back on, and it's just really comical because you get that bond, and it's just a different like team environment. But we've definitely had some times where, I guess, sorry coaches, because you're finding out now, and sorry teammates, it's all coming out. It was funny actually, our final year, we ended up having this tradition, because our final year was cut kind of short because of COVID. So we only had a few competitions, but one of the competitions we were kind of, so me and my 2 best friends, we're known as like the treble trio. We like to have a good time. We like to kind of go out, have fun, have parties. So we did host some house parties. One time before kind of competition, we'd done all like Jello shots, as you can imagine in America.
So this is like
jelly.
frat party prep.
Yeah, frat party prep.
Got it.
So we had these Jello shots ready, and we were like, shall we take one before we compete? So we all took one. We were only in Mizzou, so we were competing in Mizzou. So it's kind of a local club within an hour, local university. So we took this shot, and we actually had the best competition of our lives. Like we performed so well. So then it became a tradition that
if you don't have a shot of vodka before you compete, you'll do rubbish.
Every competition, we now have to have this shot. Well, it was a Jello shot, so there's not much alcohol in it at all. But it was just funny. And then there's probably been a few where actually I could probably speak about this forever, so tell me when to stop. But there was another time when we actually did get caught. So security on campus is a big thing because the drinking age is 21 over there. So underage drinking, it happens. It's a big thing. You're at university. Frat parties, house parties are huge. And the gymnastics team, I think this was like my second year, we held a house party. And fortunately enough, it wasn't at my house. So it was at one of my teammates' house, and we held this house party, and security ended up coming, busting us, stopping the party, like, everyone get out, blah, 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 apart from those whose house it was. So us all on the gymnastics team were like, what do we do? I ended up hiding in this like wardrobe. I was going to say closet then, you'd all...
Yeah, it's definitely a wardrobe.
America, definitely wardrobe.
Definitely wardrobe.
Hiding in a wardrobe, so not getting caught by security. So I got away with it, we thought. And then obviously the next day, all the gymnasts that house it was had to go and see kind of the, I don't know, officer, and stuff like that on campus. So that was at the time when practice was supposed to be. So we had to come clean to our coaches that, we have to go and, see this officer. We've been caught having a party, so that was not okay. We turn up to practice. Everyone's like, whoever was at that party, like, hand yourself in, like, step forward. So we're there, like, me and I think there was 3 of us that hid, didn't get caught. So we all stepped forwards. And they're like, why were you not caught? And we're like, well, we hid.
At least, I feel like at the time, it probably felt like a huge deal because how strict it was in gymnastics.
Yeah.
I feel like for a university story...
Oh, it's low-key, isn't it? It's low-key. But it kind of makes the experience like more fun, and I don't know, because you're not supposed to be doing it, but you still do it.
It adds to the excitement of doing it.
Yeah, it definitely does, where it's probably everyone's like, what on earth is this? But yeah, so then we ended up actually getting like, not punished, but I guess punished. So every week, the whole team, so even if it was just one person that got caught at this party, the whole team has to do like the punishment.
That's quite dangerous because you could really annoy some people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you were weekly offenders, God, you'd be fuming.
Like, really? But fortunately enough, my whole team, we got on so well. We had each other's back. We were like, you know what? We're in this together. It's fine. We get that you want to party. We get that some maybe don't. But we're in it together. So actually for that whole next week, we were up at like 6 a.m. on the football field doing like, like dish arch rolls the whole way across the field, like bear crawls. And a football field is big. And then like stadium runs. We were then one of the days we were on the sandball volley courts, literally doing like this army workout at 6 a.m. It's dark.
Was this the punishment for getting caught and having a party?
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
How did you find life when you came back from America to the UK?
Yeah, so I guess I graduated 2020. So my final year did get cut short a little bit because of COVID. So all of a sudden we were competing. Then the next minute, like all competitions are done. Like, great, fine, that's fine. We can have fun on campus, not thinking anything of it, just competitions are finished. A week later, probably 5 days later, they're like, you've got 10 days, you've got to get off campus. I'm like, I live in England. They're like, you've got to get home. You've got to find a way home. That was just a nightmare. But I made it back, thinking I'd be back for graduation in a couple of weeks. Nothing as such. And all of a sudden, it's done.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it. It's finished.
When you were home, describe how it felt knowing that was gymnastics done.
Yeah, I think in a way, kind of made it a little bit easier. To be honest, I look back and I'm like, I had to leave, so it was easy. But I think I was at the point in my career where I physically couldn't do any more gymnastics. I was done. I had, going into my last competition, I had a boot on, would take it off to do my last ever competition because I had a stress fracture in my shin, but I'd had multiple injuries, but just trying to train through them. So I knew my career was finished and I knew this was my final year and I was ready to be finished at that point.
Okay.
So
it wasn't, you weren't kind of sad about ending your gymnastics. It was quite a bit, maybe some relief that it was over, but...
Yeah, I guess like, because when you go to university, you know your career's over after them 4 years. Luckily, if you get to extend an extra year and do 5 years, but typically it's done after them 4 years. So you know it's coming to an end. And I was, I guess, a little bit relieved, like actually I'm finished, but leaving the university and leaving America, that was harder than... Yeah.
So it was about 16 years in total that you were doing. 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years.
What did you enjoy the most about gymnastics in those 18 years? What was your...
Yeah, 100%. Like, I always will now look back on the experiences that I've got in. I think, it has to be America. That has to top it. Getting that opportunity to doing a degree while competing at NCAA level. I mean, who gets that opportunity? Who gets a scholarship and to do that? And I think that was the highlight of it.
Yeah.
Just having that team side to gymnastics as well, and just so much fun. That was the peak of my career. Yep. Obviously, there were some amazing moments getting to compete for your country, getting like the England Rose and stuff that you get when you do that. But yeah, I'd always look back and be like, America.
Let's talk life after your gymnastics career. I've heard you're doing commercial PT. Let's talk about that. How did that come about?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a hard one. So obviously, I tried a few different things. And I think finishing gymnastics, I automatically went into gymnastics coaching. And then all of a sudden, it's like, gymnastics has been my whole life. I want something different. I want to try something else, see what else is out there. So I flipped and did a 180 and went into an office job in finance. And kind of throughout that, I realised that maybe the office world isn't for me, sitting down 9 to 5. Great experience and I've learned a lot, but it's not what I should be doing. It's not what I'm good at. It's not where I thrive. But actually, when I came home, I did a degree. It was in health science. So basically sports science over here. So all in the sport world. I was an intern as a strength and conditioning coach for NCAA athletes. Got to work with a lot of different sports teams. So actually, when I came home during lockdown, I was like, why not just do my PT qualifications while I'm finishing my degree? So then kind of at the time in finance, it was like, actually, what am I good at? What do I really enjoy? What do I want to do? And I knew it was always going to be kind of in like the fitness world, the sport world. I've got a lot of knowledge in that, but I wanted it to be kind of also social hours. I guess if that makes sense. In my 20s, wanting to have a bit more of a life. Now I can because my whole life has been gymnastics. I've not really had that flexibility.
Spent a lot of time in your free time doing gymnastics. So whether it's training, even like your school week, you'd be spending your free time training.
I've never had like evenings, weekends to do whatever.
So why would you want to go back to working those?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So then it was, no, you're good. So then it was kind of my sister actually. So she's a surveyor. So obviously works with like office buildings and things like that. And she kind of was like, well, obviously you want to be in sport, coaching, PTing, because that's what you're so good at and that's where your passion is. So why don't you try it in office buildings, in office time? There's a huge gap for, I guess, well-being in the workplace and that fitness, and it's becoming a huge, huge thing. So she was like, why don't you tie them both together? And I was like, wow, perfect.
When did you start this then?
Yeah, so it kind of launched just over a year ago. So started it, developed the idea. It was obviously a long process to kind of get it because it is a new concept, getting people to understand it and buying into it and stuff like that. So for a good 6 months, it was just kind of all the behind the scenes work, developing a business as such, like from the ground up with nothing. So I think for the last 6 months is when it's really like kind of taken off, and I've been going into the office buildings, providing fitness classes. So it's still early stages, still a lot to go.
Now that you've started it, where do you want to get to? Where's like the end point? Where's the goal?
Yeah, there's a lot of goals, and it's obviously one stage at a time, but definitely I'd love for it to maybe be a franchise and have it in all the different cities. But yeah, for me, it's kind of to start, obviously in Leeds, where I'm based, to start in there. We're kind of getting the clientels there, getting all the buildings there, and then expanding, obviously, to hopefully Manchester as of, next month and next year. That's a big goal, to kind of take over Manchester and being some of the buildings over there, and then just kind of go from there. So in all the different cities, but thinking big and wanting to be kind of in the whole.
No, it sounds good. It sounds like it's a huge niche, but it's something that the demand's got to be there, because how many people now work office-based jobs that don't do any exercise that should be doing? Yeah, and it's more, I suppose, for me, the convenience or leaving an office on my lunch break. Yeah. I can't get to the gym because it's half an hour away. By the time I've got there, trained, got back to the office, it can be a 2-hour process. But if you're going into the building to go and do the PT, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. So, no, it sounds good. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing where it goes. I have a question from the last guest. Jess asked, what's your greatest fear? That's a hard question as well. That is a hard question. When she said it, I was thinking, I don't envy this one. So,
yeah, what a hard question. I think, obviously, there could be multiple answers, and I think it's not just one greatest fear. And I think it's probably a big one for most people. And obviously, like the fear of failure and the fear of not being like good enough again, and being quite successful at such a young age. Actually building up to that and doing that again, and having something that you're so passionate about and being successful at again, and having that feeling of achieving something
to that level.
I think obviously it's quite a big, it's kind of a scary thought to have, but yeah.
I imagine a lot of pro athletes have that a lot, because they experience such a large amount of success at an early age. How do you get that feeling back again? Cool. I've got some rapid fire questions, because we like to kind of end the podcast on these. So what's your least favourite exercise in gymnastics?
Oh, the vault. I guess that's, one apparatus, isn't it? But definitely, that was
not my favourite.
You like.
What's your most memorable song whilst training in America?
Ooh, I probably have two for different reasons. So obviously before each kind of a competition, we always had this hype playlist, like get ourselves hyped up before competitions. And one of our most successful years, that UCLA was a huge song. So you just moved to LA. I'll sing it.
Sorry,
now.
I don't know it.
Anyway, it was a huge song over there, probably just in America. So we used to always sing that to each other, like at practice, on repeat. It was always playing. So that one like pings to my head straight away, I guess. But personally for myself, I'd probably have to say Dance Monkey, because it was my last ever beam routine. It was the song that was playing in the background. Right. So it's quite like
it brings a lot of memories back.
A lot of
nostalgic.
Memories. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's going to relate this to gymnastics, but now you're going into commercial PT. I'll say, what's your favourite exercise on back day?
Back day?
Yeah.
As in like...
If you're training, I don't know.
Like an RDL or like a barbell RDL, or more like a lat pull down, back, or more like legs back.
On that note of barbell RDLs, Carter, the brand new barbell bottle company, they are genius. So we'll just, wait, do you want to pass one? Yeah. You just hold it up to the camera. Ta-da! So yeah, they sent these for the podcast guests, so you can take one away. So next time you're loading your barbell, you can use the water bottle to load your bar and slide plates on and off. So yeah, genius. So a little plug for Carter. You're welcome.
That'll be very helpful because it is hard to get them weights off.
Depends what weight you're lifting. Not for me. And you have to slide 20s off. What are your favourite sweets?
I have a huge sweet tooth.
Okay. Top 3. Top 2. Top 2.
Top would definitely have to be the blue and pink fizzy cola bottles. I don't even know what they're called, but they're just
I know exactly what you mean.
Blue and pink cola bottles. Or then my go-to is probably Tanfastics or them Haribo strawberries.
Yeah.
I like a kind of a fizzy sweet. But
the Haribo strawberries, they're the giant straws. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to do a pre-workout with that flavour. So coming soon.
Heard it here first.
It's going to be early next year.
Amazing.
And last question, beach holiday or skiing holiday?
Beach holiday. I've actually never been skiing. Probably understandable because of my knees. Well, 3 knee surgeries on it. But yeah, it's something that I do really want to do. But I'm like, so that might take over.
Yeah, I think you've got to get to a skiing holiday. At this point in the podcast, we're near the end, but I'm going to do a quick Built for Athletes giveaway, which is going to be an Insta reel. So, bear with me. I don't know why it's still in the bag. I'm going to get this right because in the last time I tried to do this, make sure the camera's focused. Is it a good shot? Is the bag in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, girls or guys, mainly probably girls, this is the Hero 2.0 25 litre backpack in the blue and coral colours. The WOD Pod and Built for Athletes are doing a giveaway. This will be on Instagram. This is going to be an Instagram reel right now. To enter, like this post on Insta, follow both the WOD Pod and Built for Athletes, tag a friend in the comments, and we'll pick a winner, and you'll receive this bag. Ta-da! Nailed it. Back to the pod. One thing that people won't know about you that's either weird or interesting. This is my favourite question. Every guest gets asked it, and the answers are so varied.
Oh my goodness. Where do I even oh gosh.
It's
weird.
Something that people just don't know that's just bizarre. If you can't think of it, you can't think of it, but...
Give me a minute.
We can revisit that one.
Yeah, let me have a think on that. I don't know, something weird about me. I have hyperextended knees.
There you go. That's a good one. We'll go with that.
I've had 4 surgeries. I don't know. People probably know about that.
4 surgeries at 25 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, and where can people find you? Social media and business, your new PT business social media?
So personal is, Instagram, I guess, is the main social media page that I'd use. So it's Georgina_Harris X. And then, if you want to follow the business from early stages as we kind of get onto the social media platform and, progress on that side of things, it'll be just G-Force Fitness. So GEE Force Fitness.
I'm going to ask you your question for the next guest off air because they'll probably be watching. But that wraps up the episode. Thanks for joining me. Amazing. It was really good.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. I hope you enjoyed that episode and a huge thank you for listening. Make sure you're following the pod on Instagram at the.wod.pod, our Twitter at the_wod_pod. The podcast is sponsored by Wod Powders. That's at Wod Powders on Instagram. Please show some support to the pod by either sharing this episode with a mate or buying some supplements from wodpowders.co.uk. See you guys next week.